Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Keith Lee. I'm a board member with the Saskatchewan Career Development Association, and we're very pleased to welcome Maureen Souply from AWES for a professional development session on guided pathways, integrating essential skills. The Alberta Workforce Essential Skills Society, or AWES, provides workplace training that supports all aspects of a worker's career path. This includes training trainers, assessing skills, uncovering gaps, developing programming, and evaluating the results of essential skills training. Their goal is simple: for workers to have the essential skills they need to fully participate in the workplace, in their communities, and in their personal lives. Guided Pathways, Integrating Essential Skills, is a 5-year project funded by the Government of Canada. This project began in 2019 to integrate essential skills tools and resources into current career development practices. An online training workshop designed to equip career development practitioners with tools to assess career needs, to assess client needs, and provide more effective pathways to gainful employment will be delivered to 900 career development practitioners across Canada, starting in spring of 2021. Maureen Souply, our presenter today, is the project manager for Guided Pathways and a consultant with the AWES organization. She has worked in adult education for over 15 years in a variety of areas, including essential skills, language learning, and international educational development. Please welcome, with her presentation on Guided Pathways, Maureen Souply.
Thank you. Thanks, Keith. That's a lovely introduction and a really nice overview to AWES and to our project. So as Keith said, my name is Maureen Souply. I know it's a weird last name. My maiden name was Stewart, and my husband convinced me to take his name, which is fine, except I'm constantly spelling my name. And I tell people that it's the adverb for soup, but only my language learning friends really get that joke. So I will be talking for 45-ish minutes, but please interrupt at any time. I won't be able to see the chat box, so Keith, if you are able to see anybody asking a question, please do let me know. And I'm happy for you to jump in and ask a question throughout the presentation.
Sure.
Thank you. So as a step towards reconciliation, which of course is a lot of work, and doing a land acknowledgement is one small step to that. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that I'm in Calgary on traditional lands referred to as Treaty 7 territory. And I, like all people in this land, are the beneficiaries of the Peace and Friendship Treaty of Treaty 7. This area encompasses the traditional territories of numerous Western Canadian First Nations, as well as the Métis people who have called this area home for countless generations. AWES and Guided Pathways and its partners are dedicated to ensuring that the spirit of Treaty 7 is honored and respected. Today, we will take a look at a few different things: an overview of AWES, a background to our current project, Guided Pathways, essential skills and skills for success, which was just launched, the Guided Pathways workshop and resources, the training opportunities available, and of course, questions. But like I said, please ask questions throughout if you have them. And I'll give you my contact information too. And please do get in touch with any questions you have afterward, or if you're interested in taking Guided Pathways and want to know more, please just get in touch. So like Keith had said, AWES is the Alberta Workforce Essential Skills Society. It was established in 1989 and has really grown since then. It started out to be quite regional in Alberta and has really grown to be a national leader in essential skills training and initiatives. And our services include essential skills needs assessment and tailored curriculum development and training. And we work primarily with employers, and so that's what makes this opportunity with Guided Pathways so extremely meaningful to us, is that we get to work with the career development practitioners who are helping those clients to move into the workforce. And so we're really nicely situated to understand what the employers are looking for, and then also how the essential skills can help the clients move into those different jobs that they would like to do. And we have seen that there's a natural link between career development and essential skills, and we're really, really happy to be involved in this project. And we are pleased the Government of Canada saw the need and funded us for this very important work. And of course, our funding came in 2019, and that was before our entire world was thrown upside down with COVID. And so the work of CDPs now is, it was always one of the most important jobs in Canada. And now, of course, being on the front lines with so many people either pivoting or out of work, it's a really essential and really important job. So some of our work that we do at AWES, we have a bunch of different projects, and they're focused nationally and also provincially. So building systems integration, working faster, working safer, skills for work, workforce participation, and newcomers in trades are all kind of a sample. I'm just going to focus on a couple right now. Skills for Work is a gamification program for upskilling, and it's geared toward language learners, but it's a really awesome program. I didn't develop it, so I can brag about it. And it's a really great gamification. There's badging and micro-credentials. It's really fantastic. The trial period, the pilot is done, and so now it's a fee for service, but it's really reasonably priced, and AWES is doing kind of organization pricing. So if you're interested in that, please let me know and I can tell you more. And then Working Faster, Working Safer, and Workforce Participation are two workbooks geared toward people who would like to enter the workforce. So this one, Working Faster, Working Safer, is a CLB, Canadian Language Benchmarks 1-2, and that's for people who wish to enter the hospitality sector. And then Workforce Participation is CLB 3-5 and 6-8, and they focus on heavy duty mechanic and operations in a warehouse. And these are really great workbooks that integrate language, culture, and essential skills in preparing people to enter the workforce. Then we also have a YouTube channel, and I'll talk about this a little bit later because we have a couple of resources on there that might be helpful for some of your clients and people with whom you work. And it's a bunch of videos that are short little snippets of things that people would encounter in the workforce that maybe would be new to them as newcomers to Canada, or new to them as people entering the workforce for the first time or pivoting to a new role in a new industry. And they're really great in their lower language, and so they're accessible to anyone. And we found that we are able to tackle topics there that employers would like us to tackle in kind of written work, but it's just a bit too nuanced and a bit too complicated for maybe a lower language level or plain language. So an example that we keep getting asked to do is harassment and the sexual harassment policies in the workplace. And so trying to get that in a written language down to CLB 1-2 is really challenging. So what we did was put it into video form. And so it's really had an impact, and the employers have really responded well to that. And they're using these videos. The Banff and Lake Louise Hospitality Association has integrated these into their training for their onboarding as well. So that's just a sample of what we do. And I'm happy to answer any questions about those or give you more information. And all of these projects are available on our website, which I'll go to in the end. Okay, so our project, Guided Pathways, it is a project that has built on a successful provincial project with career development practitioners. And that project, actually, they were called employment counselors, which tends to be, I think, one of the terms used in Alberta a bit more. But for our purposes with Guided Pathways, we're just referring to everybody as a CDP. And this project is funded by the Government of Canada, and it recognized that there's a need and a desire for career development practitioners to integrate essential skills into their existing practice, but maybe there's no resources. And what we've seen from surveys that we've done with practitioners, there's no funding for this kind of development. And so what we've done is create a 21-hour course, and it's delivered over 4 weeks. It's partly live and partly asynchronous, so synchronous and asynchronous sections. And you connect with people from across the country. And it's to give CDPs the tools to recognize, assess, and address essential skills, strengths, and challenges. And so our goal is to support the clients through supporting the CDPs. After the 21 hours, there's a community of practice that goes on for 3 months. And this is still in the same LMS in Moodle. And it's a place for you to share your successes and your challenges, to ask questions, and just to keep connected with your smaller cohort. And then you'll be combined with 3 other cohorts from that same month. And so you'll have people from across Canada working in a variety of different organizations to be part of your network and part of your professional development experience. And then also part of this project is our website, which houses a lot of resources that we have curated for clients to use. And I'll go into a little bit more about those later. I'll show you the website. And we are really hoping that this will be something that you can share with clients and to use to help people to upskill. And as the Skills for Success resources become available, we'll be adding those to the website as well. As I mentioned, we started this before COVID, which seems like, to me, 10 years ago. But it really is timely in that people now need to pivot into change into different roles. And so for me, this is kind of a happy coincidence in that so last year, I ended up leaving a job that I had for almost 15 years. My son, one of my kids got really sick with COVID, and he's been in and out of hospital for about a year. And so I had to pivot. And so I started doing consulting and started doing this project. And it's been really great. It's been an amazing learning experience, but it is kind of a consequence of COVID. And so the training we took from face-to-face to online, which was also a consequence of COVID. But I think it's actually a happy consequence, if you can say that about international pandemics. But we are really pleased with the learning that's happening online and with the online platform. And we think it's really great that people won't just be with people from their organization or people from their same city as you would be in a face-to-face, but this is people across Canada. And we're just really happy with how it's going so far. Okay. So to help us get there, we had an advisory committee that I convened of various leaders from different sectors. So people from the career development sector, adult education, adult literacy, the government, people who are working sort of with all walks of life. And so, for example, Joffrey from AHS, they're an amazing organization out in New Brunswick, and they serve everybody from the recently incarcerated to those who are, finishing their second degree and looking for work. And so they kind of encompass a really broad range. And we've had a lot of support from this advisory committee in terms of what's happening in the field, where they think the project should go. Riz Ibrahim and Serena Hopkins have provided testimonial videos for the course to talk about why essential skills is so important to integrate into CDP practice. And Scott Murray, some of you may know him. He is one of the sort of original architects of essential skills. He was on the original committee, and he has developed a lot of the proficiency levels and the complexity ratings. And he's also a part of the Skills for Success project that I'm a part of as well. And so Scott's been really instrumental to AWES in general, and then also to my project with Guided Pathways. He's been a really helpful voice and has really helped to give us some insights into where the field is going. We did a survey, and happily, I guess when you do a survey, it kind of told us what we already knew. So we knew that people were looking for essential skills resources and essential skills training, but they didn't necessarily know where to go. And the thing that really struck us the most was that 98% of people who responded to this survey, they were all career development practitioners. 98% said that they didn't have the funding or the money for professional development. And so that to us was sad news, but also kind of happy news in that we are offering this training free of charge. And so it's nice to know that we can offer something that people want, and then it's not going to affect their budgets or their bottom line. And you can just take the training. We say free of charge, not free, because it is funded through taxpayers. So it's not totally free. You are paying for it in some respects. We had 360 people respond to the survey, which we're really thrilled about that response. And some of you may have done that survey, and we really appreciate your time doing that. And 81% said they were looking for resources. And so we thought, great, we will build it, and they will come. And so we've taken the results of the survey and what people are looking for, and we've actually put those into some of the development and of the content. And one of the things, we did this pre-COVID, and one of the things that people said was that they wanted online training. And we thought, oh, isn't that interesting? Maybe we can do a hybrid. And then COVID hit, and we pivoted to entirely online. So career development practitioners were already there. They were looking for online, and then COVID helped us to pivot there. You might already know this, and forgive me if it's a review, but I just wanted to go through what the essential skills are. So I'm not talking about something that is, sort of tenuous and you don't know what it is. So there are 9 of them as defined by the Government of Canada. And as I'll talk about as well, there's been a renewal of the Skills for Success, of the Essential Skills Framework, and it's being renewed into the Skills for Success Framework. So I'll talk a little bit about what that means and also why it's not an immediate issue. So reading, document use, numeracy, writing, oral communication, working with others, thinking skills, digital skills, and continuous learning. So everyone has essential skills, but some people may have strengths in areas, some areas and then in others. When I had to pivot to this role, I realized that working in international development for the last several years, my document use skills had kind of slipped because I was working with a lot of oral cultures and that really wasn't a thing. My working with other skills had really gotten a lot better and my communication skills, but my document use skills, I needed to really relearn Excel and relearn how to sort of, format things in a more formal way. And so when I pivoted here, I kind of had to upskill myself. So it was, it was a good experience. So as we know, everyone has essential skills, but everyone can benefit from essential skills training. And I always like to share this scale because it really helped solidify for me when I was starting to learn about the essential skills. I come from an adult literacy background, and so this helped me to understand what it means when you're operating at a level 1, 2. And so the complexity rating is on a scale of 1 to 4 or 5. Some of the skills have level 4, some have level 5. And so if you land in, say, level 1 or halfway through level 2, it means that you're still learning to read. So you can't necessarily take information and learn from it. You're still just trying to unpack that information and try to impart to yourself what it means. And so this to me, I thought, oh, wow, that would be really challenging if you were at a level 1 and working in say a warehouse and you're learning to read and you need to figure out what these safety notices mean and what the bulletins mean. It would be really challenging. And so even more important is to recognize that almost half of Canada's adult workforce falls into levels 1 and 2. So almost half of us are still learning to read. And so that's why the essential skills and the skills for success are so important to integrate into practice and into just general training so that people can do their jobs well and also do them safely. We just want people to be safe at work and understand what they're doing so that they don't get hurt in those, sort of higher risk jobs as well. So what does it look like? So this is numeracy at level 1. And so even at level 1, you're expected to work with decimals, and you're also expected to understand what this is telling you. And so you have to read what the scenario is, read the instructions, and then do the actual math. And so this is taken from the Government of Canada's numeracy. They have like a pre-survey for your numeracy level, and this is taken directly from them. And so if we move on to a level 2, this is a level 2 document use. I got this wrong a couple times. So you have to understand what it's telling you to do, and then you also need to understand a bit more of a complicated chart. And so you have to take the value of the British pound in Canadian dollars. And so this is a level 2, and you get $2. So to me, I was surprised by this, that this was a level 2 document use. And I thought, oh, wow, this is tricky. And this is something that, you may have to use on the workforce if you're working in a tourist area, probably not as much now that, with the advent of the internet and all of that. But this principle applies to this kind of table, which can be really tricky to use. And so with document use, it's not just looking at a document. There are also implicit skills there in terms of reading and perhaps math. You might need some problem solving skills. And so essential skills don't just work in a vacuum. There's the main skill and then the underlying skills as well. And so one of the reasons that you'll see with the skills for success, document use is no longer a skill on its own. It's been subsumed by reading, writing, and numeracy. And I think this is a really good example of why, because you don't just need document use skills here. You need a bunch of different skills, and primarily this one would be reading. And so this would be a reading item now in skills for success. This is where I got all of this, the essential skills indicator. This is still up on the website. Some of the essential skills websites have been taken down with skills for success, but this one is still there, and it's a really great resource if you wanted to do some sort of just pre and post assessment for where you or your clients are at with essential skills. And I'll give you the website at the end, but it's a really good one to just see what the different levels mean and how they all work together to support people in the workplace. And as part of the Guided Pathways course, you will be given access to our essential skills assessment. I'm going to show you a little bit of it, but to me, this is a really great bonus for this course. Not only do you get all the content and the networking and all of the support, but you also get this assessment that you can use with clients. And so it gives them an immediate result of where they are for their essential skills. And then it also has links to resources. And so we think that this is going to be a really big value add to participants and also to their organizations. And so you'll all be set up as administrators and you get access to it for a year for free. Normally it's a fee for service. So this is what it looks like. We have these assessments, reading, numeracy, listening, digital skills, and problem solving. The listening is geared toward an ELL audience, but it's actually really, I like it in terms of just understanding different conversations that may happen in the workplace. And so I don't think that you need to necessarily only use it with people who are language learners, but it could also be just kind of anyone who wants to improve their listening and communication skills. You'll notice, like I mentioned, document use is not listed here. We have taken our document use items and embedded them into reading and numeracy. And so charts and graphs and things like that are still assessed, but they are either in reading or numeracy, depending on the main skill that you need to tackle that document. This is what it looks like. The assessment is it's responsive. So if you keep getting them wrong, it gets easier. So we don't want people to get overwhelmed and discouraged with this assessment. And so if they get it wrong, it basically just makes the questions easier and easier and then finishes so the people who are taking it don't feel like they don't know anything. And so this is an example with the reading assessment. And then I got it wrong, so it made it a bit easier and asked me about greasing a cake pan. And then I got that one wrong, so it asked me about a cell phone. And so then you can see that it gives you right away the printout, and it tells me that I'm a level 1. And then it also told me the areas that I did okay, and then the areas that I need to improve. So this is an instantaneous result that you get after you take the assessment. Then what it gives you is a printout, or not, sorry, printout, on the screen, you can print it out. List of resources. So I got the ones for level 1 and level 2, but if you landed in level 1, it would only give you the ones for level 1. It doesn't give you an overloading of resources. And so it's a bunch of resources that your clients or you can go to do some upskilling. These are created and curated by the person who does our assessment. And so there are some of them on here that may not work in terms of a one-on-one or may have to be printed. But most of them are excellent resources that you can click on and learn about different areas of essential skills and skills for success. So I'm just going to pause. Sorry, I know I'm talking a lot. Oh, there's a whole bunch in the chat. Sorry, should I pause and answer a few questions?
No worries, Maureen. That's mostly me. As you've been going along, I've been locating the resources and throwing them into the chat.
Amazing.
But people, if people do have questions, I see Tana has a question. She asks, what is the link for the assessment resource?
For the one I just showed you, the skills for our assessment resource? Is that what you're asking? Yeah, so that one is, I can give you the link, but you can't do anything with it before you are given access. So it's behind our sort of password wall, but I can give you the practice questions and you can see those. And then if you take guided pathways, everyone's given access to that. They'll be given a username and a password as an administrator. So I can give that, I don't know it offhand, but I can find it for you when we are done, if that's okay.
I have 2 questions for you, Maureen. How long does that assessment normally take to do?
Depends on the person who's taking it. So I'm just going to stop this so I can talk to you guys. It depends on who's taking it, but we say 20-ish minutes or so, depending on people's skill levels.
You also mentioned that normally it does, like if people take the guided pathways course, they have 1 year of free access. Yeah. Normally, how much would it cost for that service?
It depends on the organization. And so our executive director for AWES handles that, but I know that it's not super cheap from what I understand. I can get the exact pricing for you, but I think they have an individual price and an organizational price, but it's not cheap. And so to me, this is a big bargain for people who are taking guided pathways, is that they get this access to this for a year to use with their clients. I think it's a really good deal.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. Any further questions before Maureen continues?
Tana, did that answer your question? Sorry, I know it was kind of a non-answer.
She says yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, I will go back. Oh, wrong one. There we go. Okay, so like I've mentioned, there's an essential skills framework renewal, and this is really good news. And some of you may have been part of the focus groups that I did on behalf of SRDC for Skills for Success. That's where I met Keith, and they have now launched the framework. We weren't allowed to talk about it in the course for the first 2 weeks because it wasn't launched yet. It was like the worst kept secret in Canada about the title of it. They didn't want us to tell anybody it was called Skills for Success. So they embarked on this renewal a couple of years ago. It was chugging along, COVID hit, there was a bit of a pause, and now it's been launched. So stakeholders from across the country were engaged, and then our part in it, the part that I was tasked with, was speaking with practitioners and essential skills facilitators, ESL instructors, adult education teachers, kind of a wide gamut of people, and got their ideas about what they thought of the skills and also their constructs and definitions. So 2 new skills of note have been added: creativity and innovation, and also adaptability. And then a couple have changed. So computer use is digital because, of course, you know, we're on all sorts of devices that are digital. And then thinking has been essentially teased out to problem solving. And the reason for that was that employers said that that was the #1 skill that they found that people needed support with in the workplace, was problem solving. And so that's become one of the main skills now. And oral communication is communication because, of course, you know, especially in these times, we communicate in so many different ways rather than just orally. Collaboration is basically just another term for working with others, and then creativity, innovation, adaptability. So those social emotional skills are a little bit more intangible and difficult to assess. And so the assessment piece is taking, of course, longer than the initial definition piece, but it's really exciting work, and they are pulling in from various different countries, several in Europe, that kind of have frameworks for this already, and working with those groups to try to define these skills and to create those complexity levels. So these are the new skills. This is their new fancy graphic. And so you'll find that sometimes if you're going to an essential skills website from the government, that it'll just redirect you to this Skills for Success. But the main sort of like meat and potatoes websites for essential skills are still there. The profiles are there, the job banks are still there, all of that is still there. It's just the Skills for Success is kind of taken over as the main piece. But I always make this analogy, which probably only makes sense to me because I'm a bit of a royalist, that, you know, it took people 10 years to start calling Camilla Parker Bowles, to start calling her the Duchess of Cornwall, and it took forever because people were just so used to her being Camilla Parker Bowles. And so I think it's going to be the same thing. There's going to be a long sort of transition from essential skills to Skills for Success. And the reason being is that the Skills for Success still needs to really define a lot of the underlying bits in terms of assessment and the proficiency and the complexity. It's really exciting. It's going to be a really great framework, and I'm really looking forward to those pieces. It's not like essential skills is, you know, gone and this is the new one. It's a long sort of intertwined transition to Skills for Success. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything on that. Yep. Okay, perfect. So guided pathways. There's a lot of lead up, but there's a lot of background. So this is Essie. She is your guide to the course. You have a facilitator as well, but we wanted to have someone in the course, she's just a little avatar, but she's in the course with you to sort of guide you through. There's an orientation video, and then everything that is on video is also in transcript. And so if you wanted to read it as well, you can. We have a few people in the course who English is not their first language, and they've appreciated the transcript as well. And I like that too, just because you don't necessarily, you know, some people learn in different ways. And so I like reading, and I prefer to read the transcripts as opposed to listening to the video. And then, so this is kind of the bit of the course. It's all housed in Moodle, and it's been really, really good so far. Of course, with any, you know, course, we had a few technical glitches in the first week, but everyone was able to get in and access And people really like that you can see your progress through the course. And so on the right-hand side there, you'll see those check marks. And that's if you complete a section, you get a check mark and you know that you can move on to the next section. And we wanted to honor that people are coming to this course with a lot of knowledge and a lot of background experience and a lot of expertise. And so we really try to honor what you already know about your clients, and because you know them best, and we just want to help you to understand them from an essential skills lens and to implement any essential skills practices or resources that maybe you didn't already know into your practice. And then, like I mentioned before, there's the live sessions and then also the asynchronous sections of it as well. So on Wednesdays, right now, our schedule is Wednesday and Friday. So Wednesdays are your group work sessions, but before that, there's some pre-reading and pre-work to do. So this is an example of that. So we have some theory, some background reading, and then as a group or individually as an activity, you have some actual work to do in the course. So there are some independent activities that you submit, and then also some activities that you do as a group. We also have quite a few discussion boards. So people are posting their resources, their questions, things that they've tried out with their clients in the past couple of weeks that are working for them. This is from module 3, the comparative framework in practice from week 3, module 3. And this is talking about the essential skills framework and also the Canadian language benchmarks. And we've had a lot of response from this in terms of people like that they can see how those two frameworks work together, and that just because you're at, say, Leah here, she's at a reading 6, but actually her essential skills in reading is 2. And so when you look at the framework, the essential skills framework is compared to the CLBs, often the CLBs are higher and they don't always match up. So we've had a lot of good response to this, especially people working with newcomers to Canada. And then as part of the group work, this is an example of one of the groups. So you go in and you determine whether or not these folks here need to get an essential skills assessment. And then with your group, you sort of tease out why or why not they may need one. So the very first one there, Maria, people like to pick on her. She has something about her ankle. I can't quite remember. She has a broken ankle and has to change jobs. And so it seems to really resonate with people that they kind of get people who are good at their roles, but then something out of their control happens and they need to move on to a different area and they're not having success finding a new job. And so with Maria doing an essential skills assessment, it helped to move her into a point where she could find employment post working in the same job for, I think it was 12 or 17 years. So these are the group activities have really gone well. People are really enjoying them, and there's been some really great discussion and debate around what they would do. People in Ontario who are saying that they have these resources, and people in BC are saying they have these resources. And so the sharing has been really great. I'm not in these groups, but I can see some of the discussion, and it's been really rich and amazing. The group work is going really, really well. So there's, like I mentioned, structured and independent learning. The reason we did it this way was that we thought about doing it entirely asynchronously with no end dates, but then the research has showed that if you have end dates and you have certain checkpoints, the engagement is higher and people take more out of it. So we decided to do a couple checkpoints during the week where you are responsible for being with your group or with being with the larger webinar on Fridays. And so we're finding that people really like the check-in on the Wednesdays and Fridays, and that they like the accountability of it. I'm like that. I'm that kind of learner. I need to know that I need to be at this day at a certain time and I need to read this before this time. So it could just be that that's because that's the way I learned, but also the research supported that having an entirely asynchronous one has its benefits. But then for our purposes, we decided that the benefits of having certain checkpoints were a lot more useful for us at this time. And I wanted to make a note about the community of practice. Sorry. So the community of practice comes after the 21-hour workshop, and so that'll be starting for our current cohort on Monday. And it runs for 3 months and is for the other, your one cohort that you spend your 21 hours with, you're then combined with 2 or 3 other cohorts. So your community of practice will be up to 80 people, and it's they're all across Canada. So we're really excited about the engagement and the networking that'll happen with those community of practice. And then you'll also have a facilitator who pops in to help out and to answer any questions and to troubleshoot anything as well. So you're not left your own devices with the community of practice, you'll be supported through that as well. I have some testimonials, which is exciting. So obviously you can read, I won't read them all out to you, but the response has been really amazing for the May cohort, which is our first one that we've run, other than our pilot that we did in January and February with a select group. And people are really responding well to it. And what's clear to me is how much people are super dedicated to their work and their practice and to their clients, and just as supporting people who, if you have an interest in employment, just supporting people to get where they need to be. We have people, not necessarily CDPs in this particular cohort. We have a few people from the Alberta government. We have some people from the government of Newfoundland. And so we've got people who are the funding providers as well, and would like to get an idea of what it means to be a frontline CDP. And so it's been really eye-opening for them to see the challenges. One lady from Alberta government, she funds all the employment programs, and she wanted to take this so she could sort of see firsthand what the issues were. And she said it's been really interesting for her, and it will have an effect on the way that things are funded in terms of her understanding a bit more. So that was really exciting for us. Right. So we have a website as well. I'm gonna just go and show you that website. So I will pause here for a second if it lets me. There we go. All right. I'm just going to pop into our website and show you a few things here. And I know, Keith, you've been in there and you've taken a look at some of the resources, which is great. I'm really excited about this website. It's pretty, I tried to make it as visual as possible because we know that clients will go here as well. So it's not just for CDPs. So this is where the workshop registration is, the project information, and also the resources. And then this is where you would also log into the workshop as well and to actually take the course. But I wanted to show you the online self-study resources. I chatted with Keith about this too, and there are so many resources out there, and we wanted to curate it so that people could use them on their own. They're online, and that they were at a language level that was kind of approachable to everybody. And so just for an example, the ones that are with essential skills, we have all of these workbooks. So some of these are PDFs, but then they're also available online. And so it was really important to us that people didn't get intimidated by the number of resources either. And so one of the things I liked is that we've tagged them. And so you can also just click on the tags, and then it will up here, it filters it for you in terms of different resources and under those particular tags. So we hope that you will share these with your clients and with anyone really. And then the language learning, these are language learning, but kind of ones that have some kind of workplace component to them. And so Breaking News English, for example, has a big section on job interviews and that kind of thing. So we tried to keep it work focused, and then also to be inclusive of people who maybe would like to improve their language skills before they actually tackle the workforce. All right, just gonna look at the time. Okay, perfect. I'll go back. Okay, so if you enroll in the course, this is where you'll go, other than the emails you'll get from us, of which there are many to click on a link. But if you ever forget, you can always just go to guidedpathways.ca and you can log in to the workshop there. Okay, and this just shows you an example of what I just talked about. There's lots of reading. The one that we didn't really include, as I think there are two for writing, and that I really liked that we included, because writing's tough because you can't really get instant feedback on it, but there are a few for writing that I thought were really good. And they actually have kind of an automated, on their end, they have an automated kind of assessment. And so you can do some typing, and then it actually gives you feedback on your writing and your grammar and sentence structure and things like that. It was really neat. And that's included on there as well. So we have spots available. I think there are a few left for July. I'm closing registration for July on June. I think we decided on the 10th. So there's a little bit of time left to register for July. June is completely booked, and we've opened September as well. We decided not to offer training in August for a couple of reasons. One is that we seem maybe to be having a light at the end of the tunnel, and we thought maybe people would just not be at their computers and they could maybe actually travel and see their friends and family. And so we decided that we wouldn't offer in August, and we'll resume again in September. And that will also give us a chance to, implement feedback and also gather some data from the people who have taken the course. Because at this point we have 440 people registered for May, June, and July. And so it's a lot of feedback and a lot of data to collect. So it gives us a chance to kind of just regroup and get ready for the fall. And I'm also giving a presentation in June to the Tutela, which is the national ESL sort of database for language teachers. And so we're anticipating that we'll get quite a few language instructors in the fall as well, which we're really excited about, because so many of them, employment is a big part of settlement. And so many of them kind of act as sort of de facto career counselors. And so we want them to at least have a bit of a foundation in the essential skills and how they apply to work as they work through with their clients, or with their learners in the classroom. So this is the registration website. One thing that I want to mention is all times are in Eastern, which I know it can be confusing, but we have people from across the country, so we kind of had to pick a time zone since our registration system. We had a couple things that we had to consider, and one was cost and the other was functionality. And so this was the one that kind of ticked all the boxes for us. But unfortunately, it doesn't understand what time zone you are in when you're clicking on it. So just be aware, if you're registering, everything is in Eastern time. And then you guys don't change time zones, so that's kind of nice. Or you don't change your clocks, because that's silly that we do that. So it's nice that you guys are just consistently with Ontario in that way. So we are opening up October registration in July. So if you're looking for fall registration, just keep checking the website. We're only opening it 3 months in advance, because if you sign up too much in advance, then maybe your schedule fills up or you forgot or whatever. So to prevent kind of people not being able to fit it into their schedules, we're just opening it up 3 months in advance. So I actually just took off noon on July. So I made this yesterday, but I closed registration for noon today. So in July, there are a few spots for 9, 10, and 1. And then in September, spots at 10 and 1. Okay. So the website that for all of the projects for AWES is just awes.ca, and then our guided pathways website is just guidedpathways.ca. But I can, I don't know why that's not there. Sorry, I'll just put that in the chat box if you haven't already, Keith. Okay, so I'm 1 minute under, but hopefully that's okay. Thank you for listening to me drone on.
Well, you had so many fantastic resources that you shared, and I think we'll open it up now for questions. We have 10 participants in the room, and I do have some questions, just kind of listening to what you were talking about. How big is the team that is working with you to organize this? This seems like a huge undertaking.
Yeah, it's not very big. It's mostly me. I have a Moodle support person, and I have a web designer, but then I've hired 5 teachers. So the back end of it, all the design and all of that stuff was me organizing it. And then we had a couple instructional designers and curriculum developers, but yeah, it's a pretty small team. Yeah, I mean, you know how these government projects go, right? You kind of need 50 people, and you are allowed to budget for like 3. So it's one of those. Yeah, but we've done a lot with the team that we have, and we've got a really really talented group. And the curriculum developers are actually essential skills practitioners from Ontario, and so they had a sort of a background knowledge, and then one of them actually works in employment as well, and so she had the employment lens and also the essential skills lens.
Now, one question I did ask you before that I'd love for you to share your response with the group here is, I'm sure all the practitioners in the room, they have a favorite resource. Oh, you should check out, this thing from Norquest College or from Bow Valley College or wherever. When we were exploring the resources page that's available on the Guided Pathways site, there are a lot of incredible things, but it's like, oh, why isn't this here? Can you explain a bit the methodology of how you arrived at which resources show up on that page?
Yeah, for sure. It's a good question because you're right. There are so many that we had a long list, and then we pared it down based on certain criteria. And some of the criteria was based on some of the feedback we had from practitioners in terms of what they were looking for that they couldn't really find. And so some of the use ones came from that. So we basically looked at it in terms of, can the client use this by themselves? Is it primarily online? And is the language level such that it's not going to be intimidating to people who are using it? And so we didn't include certain ones that say you had to download a zip file, for example. And then I mentioned to you as well about the ones from Northwest College, and they have some amazing resources. One of the reasons we didn't include them was because they are huge zip files. And so they kept crashing our computers. And we thought, well, we don't want to put something on there that's going to crash computers. But Northwest is moving almost all their stuff to Tutela. And so they won't be housing it on like in zip files on their server anymore. And so that'll be really great. And then I think a lot of them, they're in a big transition right now too. And so they're hosting a lot of stuff just on their regular server in Word docs, but they're moving to more online. And so the Colborne Institute for Inclusive Leadership, I think it is, they are in the process of redoing a lot of their resources too.
Navigating the interview, everyone, check it out. It's really awesome.
So is it Tana? Tana, yeah. So AWES is our parent organization, and Guided Pathways is the name of the project. It's just a project that is by, if I'm understanding that correctly. Yeah, yeah. So Guided Pathways is a project by our parent organization, which is AWES. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, that's one. Thank you. Yeah, it's a really great one, and I know they're updating them because some of them. We work closely with Northwest on a couple of different projects. The building systems integration, the Colborne is one of our partners. And I know that they want to update them to be a bit more, just a bit more inclusive. Like a lot of them were kind of only showing, weren't showing people of color or women of color in leadership roles and things like that. And so just to be more aware of like, just to kind of walk the talk as well with those ones, because they're really great videos. And then I think they're just sort of looking at them with a even more modern lens.
So if this all works out for you guys, Maureen, what is in the future for this project?
Yeah, so actually we have a few ideas. One of them is centered around skills for success. So we have 900 people who we are targeting for this particular project, and we're halfway there. So one of the things we're looking at is integrating the skills for success framework a bit more into the course once that gets a bit more fleshed out, because right now it's still just a skeletal framework. And so we'll be adding that. And then we're also looking at making it a bit more targeted. So say people working with language learners, for example, or working in settlement agencies, to kind of make it a bit more targeted to those groups. And so they're integrating these skills into practice, but they're not necessarily CDPs, but they kind of, just are working with people who are looking for work. And so we are going to do it that way. And so we're in talks with the government right now to get additional funding for that. So I don't know how familiar people are with Skills for Success, but there's a huge bucket of money toward implementing Skills for Success into various organizations. I think this year alone, there's 60 million, and then in the next 2 or 3 years, there's like 248 million. So there's a lot of money that the government is very seriously investing into skills upgrading and to skills development. And so we're really excited about that.
I've been hogging the questions here, but I do know in the room we have a few other board members from the SKCDA. Colleen, Chris, do you have any questions that you'd like to direct to our guest, Maureen?
This is the first time I've seen this presentation, so it's been so informative, and I just really appreciate you giving your time so generously today. And yeah, it was an excellent presentation.
Thanks. Thanks for coming.
Now, I see we have representatives from several CBOs in Saskatchewan. Tana, I know, is from Regina, Larissa as well. If there's anyone who has questions for Maureen, if you'd like, unmute and take this opportunity to ask your questions, either through the chat or on camera. have you given many presentations of this sort over the?
Yeah, we have. We've been invited to speak at a few conferences. I always say we, but it's just me. I've been invited to speak at a few conferences, and the work that we did with SRDC and Skills for Success, I did a few of these kind of presentations as well. And then we've had really great partnerships with people. I've just kind of reached out to people in sort of various leadership roles throughout the country, in Ontario and New Brunswick and BC. And then our advisory committee has been really great at kind of getting the word out. And then people are excited about this. And what we're seeing from the May cohort especially is that there's such a need here. And what's been really interesting is that people are getting into the course and they're sort of clicking around, and then they're realizing that potentially their digital skills and their essential skills are not maybe what they thought they were. And so then there's a real reflection piece, and like, well, I'm struggling with this. How could this, how could I be asking my client to just say, go to a website and look for something? And so there's been a really great discussion and dialogue around that, sort of reflecting and taking a step back and realizing that, it may not be as simple as just saying, go click on this. And there are so many underlying skills, of which many are essential skills in order to even get to a website to understand a job and to apply for it. So the feedback we've had so far has been really amazing. And I just read through some of the discussions and see what people are sort of chatting about, and it's been really great. And there's been a lot of sharing of resources, like you were saying, Keith, as well. And so people are putting those in a discussion in the course, but then the community of practice is set up specifically. One of the forums of the community of practice is to have people share resources that they're excited about or that they discover. Thanks, Colleen.
Okay, cool. Now, what I will do, I'll let everybody know that this session has been recorded, and what we'll do is we'll post the recording to the SKCDA YouTube page. Yes, we have a YouTube page. We're podcasters too. We have a podcast. We interviewed Ashley Boha from the Regina Work Prep Center. They have a cool virtual reality project that we wanted to learn more about. But, Maureen, thank you so much for taking the time to share with us. This has been an enlightening presentation. So much work has gone into creating a useful portal for career development professionals, not just in Saskatchewan, but across Canada. So kudos to yourself and your team. You're halfway there. Once you hit that 900, are you going to have like a virtual dance party?
Yeah, maybe we'll actually be able to do it in person. Who knows? Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, but we certainly not. When we hit the 900, it's not a line in the sand for us by any means, and we'll keep going. So yeah, I hope that you join us, and please let people know. My email's there, and then on the presentation as well. So yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Remember,
thanks
everyone,
for asking me to come, Keith.
Thank you so much for coming. Remember, everyone, you can save the chat from Zoom. And what we'll do is we'll probably expand out our resources page regarding this particular presentation to include some of the links that you've mentioned. But again, thank you so much, Maureen. Thank you, everyone, for attending this presentation of the Saskatchewan Career Development Association. Please have a great afternoon. And Maureen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone.
Everybody.